Have you guys ever felt like you ask yourself, what am I good at? What are my strengths? Do I even have any strengths? You've been in your mind and you say to yourself, man, I don't know if I'm even good at anything. Well, in this episode of the Purpose Talk podcast, I am your host, Gus, and I've been where you're at, where I questioned myself. I had no idea what I was good at. I had so many limiting beliefs around what I can actually do. And today I want to share with you the principles that I've used in my personal journey and the principles that I've used to help others over hundreds of young professionals to discover what they're good at. And I thank you guys for joining us today. Everybody, let me know where you're watching from, and if you're watching the replay, just write hashtag replay fam as always. I appreciate you guys joining in. We're gonna be live every week, um, and just breaking down how to help you be who you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do. Um, Let me see here. And I really want to get into this, right? This topic is really dear to my heart. Again, like I told you, I have been uh I have been where you're at. I have been a person who didn't know what he could do. And I'm really excited because what I'm about to share with you is really going to be something that, hey, I've experienced personally. I've been there, but also I've helped many people discover what their strengths are in a professional setting, in a personal setting, because I believe that your strengths are something that are God's way of telling you, hey, this is what I want you to do. Now, there are different kinds of strengths, and we're going to get into it. But first, let's define our terms, right? What are strengths? Strengths are things that you can do well. Simple as that. If you ask yourself, what am I good at? What are things that I can do well? Uh, they can possibly be things that even as minute as they may seem, as small as they may seem, you can ask yourself, hey, what do I find easy? Right? I know it sounds simple, but even things like, hey, I make a mean breakfast sandwich. I can I know how to make an amazing breakfast, and hey, that's a strength, right? What are things that you continuously do that produces good results? And when I talk about strengths, it's basically what are you good at? Now, you may think to yourself, man, Gus, uh, I have, I don't know what I'm good at. I really don't know. Or you may even be dealing with some sort of depression or just anxiety, even thinking, man, Gus, I'm not good at anything. And I really want to take you on for you to join me on this journey because to be honest with you, there's so many limiting beliefs. There's so many limiting beliefs that you may have when it comes to your strengths. You may say to yourself, I don't have strengths. uh you don't even recognize what you have. uh you may think, or you may know your strengths. You may know that, hey, I'm pretty good at this, but when you compare yourself to other people, then you're saying, I'm good at this, but I'm not as good as him at that. Or you may even think that, hey, like my strengths, they're not really strengths because they're not public, or there's something that it's not as obvious when you think about these things. Um, or even you are so concentrated on your weaknesses that you say to yourself, man, I really suck at this. So when you talk about strengths, I again, strengths are what you are good at, right? Um, Now, if you've seen this podcast, I like to break strengths down into three kinds of strengths. Um, when we talk about strengths, what are you good at? There are three different things that you, three umbrellas, right? Strength is an umbrella. There are three subdivisions underneath that you can say to yourself, man, uh, what I'm good at will fall under one of these three categories, okay? And we're gonna break them down today. So the first one, if you've seen this podcast, I'll always mention it here and there. Uh, Natural abilities are the first sub point underneath strengths. Now, what do I mean by natural strengths or natural abilities? Right? These are things that you are born with. So everyone, if you're watching this and you have limiting beliefs, I want you to know that you have a natural ability. You were born with it. But I was about to pull out the Bane from Batman. You were born in it, right? No, but you were born with natural abilities. Okay. Now, I like to give the example of the most obvious ones, right? When you talk about natural ability and something that you're born with, you can look at athletes, you can look at singers, you can look at people who are in the creative field, right? Any kind of arts thing, right? Um, you may find people that are really good at something. And those are the easiest ones because they're so like you can see it, right? You can see that Mariah Carey can sing. You can sing that any famous singer, your favorite singer has a natural ability to sing. You may look at an athlete and say, "Man, that guy's really good at basketball," or "That guy's really good at soccer," or "That guy's really good at baseball." You see people with a natural ability. Now, those are really loud uh natural abilities, right? Those are really obvious, right? For those who don't know, I'm a musician, and really, whenever I think about my life, I think that from an early age, I've been able to understand music. It's a kind of intelligence, and I thank God for it. He's given me the ability to music. I can hear when somebody's off when they're singing, right? I can hear when somebody played a wrong note, or they even or they don't play the exact right note, right? Uh, I I've seen people who have a natural ability, uh, not to shout him out, but and Lucas, if you're watching this in the future, that's my firstborn. He's 3 years old. When you get older, if you watch this, bro, you're naturally gifted at music. I've seen my son, and yes, it's a humble brag. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm really proud of it. But my son, he sees me play drums because I'm a drum. One of the instruments I play are drums, and he just picks it up immediately. He just starts. He does what I do, not to the level that I do it at, but he'll you'll see him start to just play with his hands or march on beat. We play music here at the house. Whenever we're here just chilling at the house, my wife and I, and we'll put music. He just starts marching on beat. One time I was getting ready for church, and I was just had a metronome playing, and my son, listen to this, a 3-year-old came and started knocking on the table on with the metronome. For those who don't know, it's like a click that it's consistent. Usually adults have a hard time with it. I had a hard time with it as an adult. I learned how to use it in my early 20s, but it was something that, man, like I hadn't done, and he's a 3-year-old's doing it. So you see the natural ability in these things. Now, music is such an obvious natural ability, and even in my story, there was one point in my life where I thought that my the only thing I was good at was playing drums. We'll get to that in a second. But there's also other kinds of natural abilities, right? There are people who have you may be watching this and what you're naturally good at may not be so obvious. But there are people here who are naturally an example could be naturally empathetic. There are people who just have a gentleness about them, right? That they're able to uh, to talk to people and they can relate to people in such a natural and easy way. That is a strength. There's also the strength of hospitality. You have an ability to be a naturally hospitable person. Now, should we all learn how to be hospitable? Yeah, we should, right? But there are people who just, man, it doesn't matter where they live at. They could be in the smallest house in the world, but when you show up, you feel like you're at home because they make you feel that way. There's so many things under natural ability, things that naturally come to you that may not be so obvious, right? And in this episode, I'm not going to go into every single kind of it, of all your natural strengths, but I do want you to know the types, and I'll get into how you can find them, right? But you have natural abilities. You also have things that you're naturally able to do that just come easy to you, right? That you're born with. You also have included in that, but I separated because I think it's a little different, even natural wiring. Okay, so the first is natural abilities, second is natural wiring. What do I mean by that? I mean that natural wiring is how your brain works, right? So when we talk about, hey, are you an introvert or extrovert? Real quick, without thinking, are you an introvert or extrovert? Now you may say, "Oh, I'm in between." Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most extroverted person on the face of the earth, are you a 10? Are you a 9? Where are you? You may be an introvert or extrovert. That's how you are, right? I'm naturally an extrovert. That's why I'm doing this solo podcast today. And I could just talk, right, for hours and hours. Um, I'm naturally an extrovert. I will talk to somebody on the street. Or maybe you're naturally an introvert, and that's fine, right? I say like, sorry, I always think about my family, how they, like I said it in one of the last episodes, but I was like, man, my family just, uh, I'm an extrovert, and some of them look at me like, yeah, you're too loud. And I'm like, okay, anyway. But are you an introvert or extrovert, right? Are you naturally more quiet? If you're an introvert, does being with people drain your energy? You can do it, but does it drain you, right? Also, we have learning styles, right? When we talk about learning styles, there's different kinds of learning styles, right? People who learn hands-on, people who have auditory learning, people who can read something and they have a photographic memory, people who have to just see somebody do it and then they can do it, right? So you have different learning styles, but these are all cues and give you a little bit of insight to how your brain processes information. You also have decision making styles. Are you naturally a person who's confrontational, right? You're not scared to speak your mind, right? Or you're naturally a person who is more fearful to say what they think, right? Um, and yes, there are life circumstances that may guide you a certain way. Uh, I've seen people that I've worked with who are naturally introverted. But because of life circumstances, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, they're on the introverted scale, right? They're more introverted. Because of life circumstances, hey, they're a 7. You know, they've gone a little bit more extroverted. They're never going to be a 10, but they're more extroverted. But I've also seen people who are a 5 as an introvert on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Uh, and because of life circumstances, because they've gone through certain things that have isolated them, they've actually digressed and they're now a 3 because, but you have a natural starting point and circumstances may shift that a little bit, but you are naturally one way. But how do you make your decisions, right? Uh, so your brain has a natural way of thinking, a natural way of processing information, a natural way that it intakes and that it processes information. So when we talk about strengths, we have natural ability, natural wiring, and the third umbrella underneath this is called our skills. Now, what are skills? Skills are literally things that you learn. Skills are things that you've learned. Now, what I'll say is that skills are when I've talked to people and I've said, "Hey, what skills do you have?" Right? If you've been in the workforce, okay, what skills do you have? What do you know? Maybe you weren't born with it, right? I wasn't born with the ability to speak Spanish. I wasn't born with the problem solving skill, right? But there's so many skills that you may have, but the difference between skills and natural ability is that you're born with one and you're not born with the other. The other one is learned and the other one is picked up along the way. It's like adding a tool to your tool belt, right? As life goes on, different life circumstances, maybe the pandemic has taught you how to cope with different things, right? So, uh, when I think that, um, about skills, you think about things that are learned and things that are, versus natural ability are things that you're just naturally good at. So when we talk about skills now, it's interesting, right? Because you'll hear a lot of people out there that'll talk about skills and you'll hear this term called hard skills and soft skills. Now, what are those? Hard skills are technical skills, actual abilities that you can see done, that you can calculate how they're done, right? For somebody working in the fast food industry, right? Which I worked for many years running a business, right? Helping run a multi-million dollar business, you'll see people with the hard skill of, hey, how do you know how to make a sandwich? That is a hard skill, right? That is something that you can measurably, you can measure, that you can see, you can calculate. Is this done the right way? Okay, this is the process of how to do this, and they're able to do it. You see it in every realm, right? In every industry. A nurse, right? They have to know how to inject a needle, right? That's a hard skill. They should be able to know how to perform CPR. That is a hard skill. So when we talk about hard skills or technical abilities, right, to get a physical thing done. But there's also what we know as soft skills. Now, soft skills are what we call they may not be as concrete, right? Soft skills are things like problem solving, right? Soft skills may be man, I'm trying to think. Soft skills may be something like communications, patience. I have some notes written down, empathy, or maybe you're a natural leader, right? These are skills that are very much skills, but they're not, you can't measure leadership. Hey, like, are you a leader? You can see the traits of a leader of leadership, but hey, I know how to do leadership. And you don't see like an immediate result. But we all know that being a leader, being empathetic, knowing how to speak, being fluent in how to talk and communicate effectively, it is a skill, right? So whenever we talk about skills, there are hard skills and soft skills. Um, they're built any type of skill, right? Whether it be a hard or soft skill, they're built through repetition. They're built with patience and you developing that ability, right? That you were not born with. Uh, I know how to speak Spanish. For a period of my life, I sucked at it. And for the last 10 years, I worked a little bit more intentionally, even more intentionally the last 6 years to be able to speak Spanish better. Uh, but these are things that skills that you pick up and that you have to work and to build. So, um, and even, and here's where I want to get to, right? When we talk about skills, um, there are things that you may not be good at, and what I want you to take away is that skills are meant to serve your natural abilities. If you're thinking about finding your purpose, which this is what this podcast is all about, and then finding a career that aligns with your purpose, you should always lean into your natural ability and to your natural wiring. But skills are something that are obtained, and working with a career coach, right? Working with somebody, with a mentor, whatever it may be for you, uh, seeing what your natural abilities are, your natural wiring, uh, should be something, okay, you understand this, but now you're looking to obtain skills, right? Okay, what do I already have? What do I already know how to do that I wasn't born with, but hey, I've become really proficient at it. But you always look for your skills to serve your natural ability. Your skills are always meant to serve your natural ability. Now, when we talk about these types of strengths, right, there's three kinds of strengths that we've talked about. Now, the question you may be asking yourself is, how do you find out what your strengths are? What are your strengths? And generally speaking, uh, there are three ways for you to find out what your strengths are, whether it be a natural ability, a natural wiring, or a skill, right? What are three ways that you can figure out what you are good at? And I want you to think about it this way. I want you to think the three ways, they all fall into two categories, is internal and external. So I like to always start internal, right? Self-evaluation. You consider, what are you good at, right? What are you good at? So you consider to yourself, hey, and I'm about to list a few ways that you can actually find out what you're good at. But they all come down to, hey, self re being self-aware, being self-aware to, hey, this is what I'm good at. I've done this, and I mean we'll get into it. But then the other way is um external, right? To see what people actually say about you. Uh, look externally, right? So the first thing I want you to look at is, what are people celebrating about you? Now, it is important for you to consider internal, what you think, what others think, and you can even use things like career assessment, right? But what do people praise you for? If you're asking, hey, what am I good at? I want you to surround yourself with community. If you don't have it, I have the blessing of being part of a local church. I grew up in church, and I had people in my life again who really um were able to invest in me and were able to speak life into me, and tell me, hey, you're really good at this. They were able to affirm me verbally, right? What are frequent compliments that you get? It may be something even in class, right? Uh, for those who are out there, right? If you're thinking about uh, your daily relationships, what do people come to you for? And what do people say, hey, really good job at that? Right? It may be, hey, you're a person who's naturally good at giving advice. You're a person uh who just man, I like to come to you to figure out what I'm good at, or no, I'm sorry, you people come to you to find out, hey, this is what's going on, and you may be a naturally empathetic person. Pay attention to those things. Um, what do people praise you for is what I wrote here. Frequent compliments, what others trust you with, or what do people ask for your help in? It's funny. One of my coaching clients, I was working with him and I was asking, hey, what are your natural ability? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, and then, okay, well, tell me about your day. And I started asking him questions and stuff like that. And I realized that his friends consistently came up to him, hey, I'm going through this. And okay, he was a good listener. And he didn't even notice that that was a strength, but it is a strength because people come to him because he's able to solve a need that they're looking for in the moment. They just need somebody to talk to. Now, I've developed that skill, but naturally, I'm not a good listener, right? I'm not a good listener, but it's a very important skill, and I've learned it, but it doesn't come natural to me, right? So these are things that I learned. So that I learned to do. So what people praise you for, but even consider, hey, what are things that you do that when you do them, they go well? What are things that you do that when you do them, they go well? And it takes you, and you realize that's like, this is easier for me than others, right? You may be in a certain class, right? One thing I tell students, if you're watching this and you're either you work or you don't work yet and you're in school, uh, look at the classes that you take. Look at the classes that you take. You may have math, English, history, social studies, gym, whatever class science, right? Whatever class you take, uh, consider which is the class that you perform the best in. Consider, hey, I'm really good in math class. And it's interesting because that'll even show you, hey, how does your brain process information, right? If you are a naturally good at math, you may be a good student overall. You may be naturally responsible because a lot of schools just being responsible and getting your tasks done. But which class is something that you're really good at? um you look at patterns in school, right? Your best class is your natural subjects. Or even, hey, if you're doing a group project in that class or you're taking a test and somebody's cheating, trying to cheat off of you, guess what? You're really good in that class. And I don't want you to take this for granted, right? Because a lot of times we say, oh, it's only math class. But bro or sis, that is a math class. That's it's showing you what you're good at. Um, and it's really interesting because a lot of us would downplay these situations. A lot of us would downplay what we're good at in school, right? Uh, um, and we would just say, you know what? I don't. It's not much. It's not much, you may say to yourself. But realistically speaking, that shows you what you're naturally good at, or things that you may have acquired. So find, realize, hey, what do people come to you for, right? Whether it be in school or at work. I want you to consider the fact that when you're at work or in school, now I'm transitioning to work, right? If you're working, let's say you work at Chick-fil-A. Have you guys noticed that there's a certain kind of person that works outside? That was one of the companies I worked for many years. Uh, you would hire somebody who, hey, you go to the drive-through and you see people who are really nice, really bubbly, really outgoing, typically, right? Um, is a different kind of person that I would hire, right? When I used to work for them, uh, is a different kind of person that I would hire to work taking orders outside or even bagging the food and getting it out versus a person working in the kitchen. There are some rare people who are just, man, they're a beast at everything. And I had a handful of them that I worked with, right? There are people who are naturally just good at something and they're good at everything they do. They're just a high caliber person. But for the most of us, including myself, there are things that you're naturally wired to, naturally more inclined to do, right? So if you're outside, if even where you if you're working in a fast food, even if you're working in a high school job, right? Or wherever you find yourself, you may say to yourself, man, I don't know what I'm good at. Well, take a look at where your job places you. If I have somebody and they're really good at speaking to the customer service, they're friendly, they're hospitable, I'm not putting that person making sandwiches. I'm putting that person taking orders because they're gonna take care of the customer. Wherever you find yourself, you're at work, you're at church, you're in your local YMCA, you're wherever you are, whatever you're doing, acknowledge where your teacher, where your boss, where your parents, what they ask you to do, right? Um, what anyone, wherever you find yourself, where are you naturally always being placed? And that is an easy way to find out what your strengths are. So externally, see what people are praising you for. Where are they putting you if you work or you're in school? Take a look to see, man, when I do this, it's easy, it's naturally good at you look at the fruit and what you produce in it. Um, uh, you consider your patterns, and 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 in these things, you'll say to yourself, man, I these are just simple ways to start to tell yourself, hey, this is what I'm good at. This is the ways you can find out what you're good at by doing these simple things. If you're watching this and you're in school, there's stuff that you can figure out right now while you're in school, right? Some things that I mentioned right now, classes that come easy to you. Um, now, what I would encourage anyone to do, because this is what I did, right? When I was in school, I I was naturally good at music. I went there and I excelled, right? I went to an arts academy back in New Jersey, right? Shout out to Thomas Jefferson Arts Academy. Uh, but I was placed by teachers, right? I was placed by teachers who saw certain things in me, whether I was in school or even in church, or even in friend group circles, right? People would come to me, not for everything. I definitely had a lot of growing up to do, but in your life, where are you being placed at? But here's what I want to say. If you feel like, man, I'm not just not doing anything, maybe you're not in school or working, you're just lost right now, right? I want to speak to you, even you, right? Uh, whether you're in school, working, or you're not doing anything right now, uh, what I would encourage you to do is to go try things out. To go try things out. Go try things out. There's so many things that are out there that you just have to try. Now, what I'm not going to tell you is to go try to do things that, man, like high risk things is what I would call it, right? I have here, you want to try certain things because I just wrote down some notes. It's certain experiment, right? Try experimenting with things that are low risk. Start with small things, right? Uh, one of and we'll talk about is college for you in a future episode, but that I'll briefly mention. Don't go to college if you're not self-aware of yourself, right? Which we talked about in the first episode, right? To know yourself. And today we're starting with strengths. Your strengths are if you know what you're good at, and if you those are things that you want to lean into. But if you don't, then hey, like go try things out. But don't go and here's what I want to say. Don't go get in debt. Don't go take out a student loan to find out what you're good at in college. I'm telling you, this is high risk. And when we talk about high risk and low risk, what are you risking? Don't don't spend something that's going to risk a lot of your time, that's going to set you back decades. And I want you to think as young as you may be watching this, right? The best advice I heard from mentors of mine are, hey, think in decades, man. Don't think about in a few months or in a year, right? Think about 5 to 10 year periods, right? Don't do things that are going to set you back 10 years. Don't do things like that. But try to find things that, hey, I can do right now. If it doesn't work out, it's fine, right? Things like internships, right? Things like serving in your local church, right? I served in church and it was low risk. You know why? I was able to develop my musical gift. It's because they needed musicians. And it was low risk. It wasn't like I was going to get into $100,000 in debt, right? At first, it was volunteer, where I volunteered my time and I was able to pick skills up and develop multiple instruments, right? But find low risk things that you can do to be able to just start doing things, and you'll start to see, hey, I really like this, or you'll start to see, man, I'm really good at teaching. I'm really good at doing this. I One of my strengths is teaching, right? And I was in my late teens. I moved to Florida, which that's where I'm based. Uh, but I remember moving, and in my whole life, I grew up in church. I like teaching. I teach the Bible in church, right? I preach. But at first, I never thought that that was one of my strengths. Guys, can I tell you, can I be honest with you real quick? There was a time in my life, music has always been a natural ability. I had no doubt in it. But there was a time in my life where all I thought that I was good at was being a drummer. Now, what if I just let that limiting belief absorb me? Or, which is, it's fun to do, right? But I love playing drums to this day. I get to play every so often still. Uh, but what if I said to myself, man, I'm only good at playing drums? I would have uh not, how do I explain it? I would have never grown into who uh uh to the fullness of who I can be, who God has created me to be, right? I I would have stayed stuck. I would have stayed looking forward to 1 hour a week on Sundays and maybe a weekday, right, for a church service. But I would have found myself stuck. I had no idea that I can teach. And it wasn't until a time where, again, a low risk experiment. We're talking about low risk experiments, right? Low risk things that you can do that are not going to cost you thousands of dollars, which I've I've lost thousands of dollars. Uh, I've lost years of my life and I've wasted energy. And you may find yourself, hey, I've used so much energy, or I've wasted so much time, or I've wasted so much money. Try things that are low risk. There was a pastor who asked me to teach, and I never knew that I could teach, right? And it all started through church. And he asked me, hey, I want you to teach our youth. And I'm like, okay, cool. And what do I know? And I've been learning the Bible. And then I started teaching them and I started explaining in simple terms, try to be as simple as I can. And they liked it, and they wanted me to stay as a youth leader at the time. So I, it started a journey of me learning, and then I started teaching young adults and explaining the Bible to them. And then as I've gone through life experiences, people would tell me, Gus, I'm going through this. I'm like, bro, I've been through the same thing. And I would tell them, hey, this is what helped me. I don't know if it'll help you, but you should try it. And it would help them. And I was able to explain to them step by step, and take them on a journey to be able to say, Gus, thank you for your advice. And it all started with a low risk, right? It all started with me teaching teenagers. Um, it was over a decade ago, but this is where I find myself. And you start wherever you find yourself, whether you're a Christian or not. For me, it was a church, but go. I remember even at some point, like, and I had remembered after this, right? I remember that I had done I was really good at, I forget which class it was, but I was tutoring a young boy, and he was from Russia. It was, wow, this is a while back ago, and I totally forgot about that. But after I started teaching, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that I was good at this, that I taught that young man and he understood. I think it was math. Uh, or I would teach music classes, and though I wasn't a big fan of it, guess who helped me? My mom was the one that told me, yo, you're really good at teaching. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I was too much in my head. I was too nonchalant. I was like, it bores me. But then I realized, man, I'm good at teaching, and I actually enjoy seeing people discover things, for helping people discover, uh, 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 to just helping people learn, right? So I share all this to say, try things that are not going to cost you too much money, that are not going to cost you too much time, and that are not gonna take you to a place where you're emotionally just drained, right? Try things out. Guys, when I tell you that I've tried so many things, so many different hobbies, so many different things that I thought, hey, this is gonna make me money, or this is gonna help me. This is something that I find I think is really cool because I'm the type of person that I find what's cool in everything. But it wasn't for me. I wasn't good at whatever thing it may be, right? Whether it be I tried painting, in my working as a painter, person who paints houses. You do not want me painting anything for you, right? But I've tried different things, and I tell you that when you listen to the people around you, if you don't have them, find people around you. Uh, Go to a church, go to a place where they can help you. A school, find teachers. I had teachers as well. Or even with me, right? If you want me to help you, right? I'm a career coach. I help. We have this video is sponsored by the Know Your Strengths experience. The link is in the description. We're going to be hosting this where together we can work together to uncover where your natural abilities are, your natural wiring, and what skills you already have, right? So these are things that if you're a young professional, a college student, or you're just looking to take the first step, it all starts with knowing what you're good at, because it is your natural ability that's going to help, uh, honestly, get make the most money, which is not all about money. And we'll learn about how to find a purposeful career, which there are episodes you can link in the description or follow my channel uh, to talk about how to find a purposeful career. But what you're good at, listen, guys, it's important to understand this because nobody wants to suck at something. Nobody wants to work in a job that they suck in. I remember I've had to tell people, hey, you're not good at this. And I tell you, and it was hard conversation, right? Because they have been lied to their whole life. Uh, but telling people the truth of what you're good at, what you're not good at, it was a part of my responsibility to my employer, but deep down in my heart, it was my responsibility to God and to serve the people. Uh, if you don't lean into your strengths, it's not gonna go well for the person you're working for whoever you're serving. Uh, but if you lean into your strengths, guys, if you lean into your strengths, you're gonna feel good because like, wow, I'm really good at this. I enjoy being good at something. Uh, I enjoy using what I'm good at to help people solve a problem, right? The marketplace, that's what a marketplace is, to solve a problem. Uh, the marketplace is dictated by what people need, but using your strengths to serve these people. If you're passionate about people, okay, what are your strengths? Um, I like if you guys haven't noticed and so far in this episode, right? I think we're like over 30 minutes in. I like to talk a lot. If that's what I like to do, if I'm good at it, uh, then I will use my voice to try to help people. But maybe you're not a natural speaker. Whatever your gifts are, develop skills, what skills you need to develop to serve your natural abilities, but increasing your strengths, lean into your strengths and serve people, right? Serve a cause that and but when you're good at something, it all starts with that. You will find a certain satisfaction that that just it makes your life more fulfilled. Now there are certain things, right, apart from self-evaluation on things that you do, asking the people that are around you for these things, there are actually practical tools that you can use, right? Um, I've taken all of these, and I'm not. This video is not sponsored by any of these, but again, hopefully one day this video does get sponsored by one or all, right? The first assessment you may have heard of it is called the Clifton Strength Assessment. It breaks down four umbrellas and 34 different types of strengths. You can look it up on YouTube. I'm sorry, you can look up more videos about it on YouTube or Google it to see if that's something that you would want to take, your a strength assessment. I recommend it. I recommend taking all of these, right? Because you want to learn as much as you can. Practically speaking, assessments like Clifton Strength Assessment, one of my personal favorites that I took uh, many years ago, and I try to take it every so often just because we all grow, we all develop, are called the DISC assessment, uh, where it tells you, hey, naturally what you're good at. I remember I have the I have I think I have the the results of it. I'm trying to see if I have it. Okay, yeah, I have it here. In the DISC assessment, it kind of t is an acronym DISC. And for me, it was I'm a high I. And it's so funny because some people are like well balanced, and for me, it was just I'm just an I. Like I'm not good at anything else. And for me, is enthusiasm, entertaining, and persuading. And my weaknesses are what I don't like to do is routines and complex things. Like it really bothers me. But a DISC assessment is really cool because it kind of gives you insights and it's you answer questions and it'll tell you, hey, these are some things that you may know about yourself. Now, these things don't replace everything else that I've mentioned, right? Talking to people in your life. If you're a young person, finding three mentors who are older than you, not just your friends, because your friends, your contemporaries, they you're you act a certain way around them. And they can be insightful, but speak to somebody who's older than you, right? Who loves you, who you see as a mentor or find a mentor. Uh, who can help you and see things in you that you don't even see in yourself. Lean into those things. But these assessments are really cool, right? Cliff Strengths, let me name them before I forget. Clifton Strengths Assessment, DISC Assessment. You may have heard very famous, the Enneagram, right? I'm a seven. Or even one which is I said that all these are my favorites, I guess, right? But we have the ONET Interest Profiler. This is really cool because it has you answer questions. It gives you, hey, this is what kind of jobs based on how you answer the questions that you can find. And this one is really cool, ONET, because it'll give you results of jobs that you may find uh based on okay, you may click, hey, you scored really high on this type, right? You score really high on a category, and then it'll give you jobs that can fit with that category that is said that you are. It gives you scores for all categories. So it gives you the highest to the lowest. Obviously, the highest are the ones that are closer matched to you, and it'll give you jobs. Now, the cool thing is that it'll give you jobs based on you can go, hey, no restrictions. I want a job that it doesn't matter how much education I get. Do I have to go to college for no matter what? I want any kind of job. But it also gives you, hey, I don't want to go to college. And it'll give you careers that if you don't want to go to college, it'll give you jobs that you can find uh, with th- with that thing in mind, right? That, hey, I don't want to go to college. So these are the jobs based on your profile that you can find if you don't want to go to college. Or, hey, I just want to get a 4-year degree or a doctorate. It gives you all the steps based on that. But guys, any of these assessments, they're an add-on tool. They're an added tool to everything else that I've mentioned. Don't let your identity be found in a random test. It's a good it's a good indicator and it helps contextualize maybe things that you're living through that, oh yeah, like the disc assessment when I took it, yeah, I was like, yeah, it's pretty spot on. It put a language in my head. Oh yeah, I'm a high I. This is what I seek. Oh, now I understand. Now I have the words for what I've been feeling all this time. The same way I took that test when I went to college that told me that I should be a guidance counselor. Cool. But I considered all the options and I went a different route than getting my master's degree, right? But you say to yourself, hey, use these assessments to really uncover what you to kind of give you a language, to kind of give you a perspective on, hey, these are things that I could be good at. Let me now you have this information and you're looking around and you say, yeah, I am an empathetic person. Um, Now it's really interesting because I mean these are practical ways that you can look into. I'm not going to go super into depth. You can look these up. It's Clifton Strengths Finder, Disc Assessment, Enneagram, and ONET Interest Profiler. Uh, Look these up. Hopefully one day I get sponsored by them. But you consider these things, and there's one thing I do want to share with you guys. As we um, I just want to share with you guys. I want you to consider when we talk about strengths, a lot of the things that come up are also weaknesses, right? You may think of strengths and weaknesses. What I want you to understand, and this is what I believe, uh, uh, is that strengths and weaknesses are different sides of the same coin. When you have a quarter, you think heads or tails, right? And any coin, but I like a quarter, right? You think of quarter, heads or tails. Now, the heads and the tail side, they look different, but they're made of the same material, which is whatever that coin's made of. I don't know. Strengths and weaknesses, I believe, work in the same way. There are natural strengths that you may have, right? That may sh because you have the strength, there's also a weakness, and that's natural. It is we are human. If you have strengths, you have weaknesses. But also, if you're a person who's down, if you're watching this, you're down, oh, and you're still not believing that you have strengths, guys. If you have weaknesses, guess what? You have strengths as well. Um, I'll give you an example. Every strength has a shadow side. So, for an example, I was working with somebody recently, um, and they were one of their strengths, and I could see it talking to them, and man, like they were incredible. They're a naturally empathetic person. Okay, they're a naturally empathetic person. Now, this is their strength. They help people feel good. They have an emotional connection with people. They're able to emotionally connect with people that are around them that come for advice, that come to ask them for advice. And man, people keep coming to them and their family and their friend circle because that young person was really empathetic. Now, what did I notice? When you're a naturally empathetic person, you love making people feel good. You are there emotionally with them. You connect, but guess what? That takes energy. Now, what happens? When you realize what your strengths are, and you consider that the weak side, the shadow side of it is I am I am a person who's really empathetic, but man, if I don't keep a hold of this, I'm gonna become emotionally exhausted. So I want you to consider in the Clifton one it does a really good job um, at finding out like hey like it shows you hey these may be the downside to it, right? I encourage you to take it. There's downsides to everything that you do, right? To what you may be good at. If you're an empathetic person, you are a person who cares for people, you may find yourself getting emotionally burnt out because you are always um you are always trying to be there for people, and that's not healthy. But you have to acknowledge this, right? Some people just don't care enough and they're chilling all the time, right? You may be a person who uh who is who is really good at doing things orderly, right? Who you like to systemize things, right? To do things in a control in a organized and efficient manner. Um, but those have weaknesses as well, right? You may not be able to work if everything's all mumbo jumbo, right? Uh, you may be a person who's creative, or you may be more logical, systematic. Then that means you're not good at improvising, right? Again, we can go into detail, but I want you to know that strengths and weaknesses are the different sides of the same coin, and I want you to consider what that may mean for you, right? Or if you work with a coach, then we will break these things down. And in your weaknesses, right? It may be a technical weakness or it may be soft skills that you may be weak at. I want you to recognize what your natural strengths are. I give and really develop your weaknesses so that they don't hinder the effectiveness of your strengths. I give the example because again it's visual, you can see it. Uh you have Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he's the greatest three-point shooter in the history of basketball. This guy is insane, right? But he was a natural three-point shooter, really good, but his defense was not that great when he first started. Now his defense still isn't amazing, but guess what? He's not terrible defensively, at least when he was in his prime, right? He got much better defensively, which helped him be able to maximize the effectiveness of his three-point shot. You tell me, comes down, shoots a three, and then on the other side he gives 2 points. Okay, he still scored three, another three, and 2 points, another three. He will score a 3 pointer, and the other person will score two. Okay, fine. But what if he scored three and then he got one stop, and then he scored three again, and then that person scored? Now that person just scored 2 points and he has 6 points. You multiply that for the rest of the game, and guess what? He has 40 and the other person has 10. So when you talk about your weaknesses, recognize what they are and create a plan, right? Create a plan to develop them, not to become an amazing strength. There are some people in this world that are just able to do that, and kudos to them. But you don't have to do that to be successful. All you have to do is, hey, my weaknesses, let me develop. If organization is a weakness, then I'm going to try to be more organized. I'm going to try to take the steps to be able to be able to steward my time well, to be able to put things where they belong. Whatever your weaknesses is, develop them, because then you'll start to elevate yourself to a level where if your strengths are up here and your weaknesses start to come up, 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 they don't have to reach up here, but they will help you be effective in whatever you do, guys, in whatever you do. So I know I shared a lot today. Really, as far as what are strengths, what are how you can find out what your strengths are, um, and how they fit into to what you do, to finding a career that aligns with your purpose. But really, like your purpose and is leaning into your strengths, and you have to do these things in order to do what God has created you to be, which I believe that God has created all of us for a purpose. And for you to find satisfaction in something, it all starts with knowing what you're good at, knowing what you're able to do, and natural ability, how you think and what skills you already have. Now, you will develop more skills, but always leaning into your natural ability, I believe you'll find the most satisfaction in this life. And if you're still watching this and you have the limiting belief that, man, I don't have strengths, you may be down, I want you to say, man, get around people. Here at the Purpose Talk, uh we help you to be who you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do. We have conversations. I'm excited to bring more people on in the future to helping because I believe that if you're watching this, you need two things. And this is where I watch YouTube, and why I started YouTube is because this is a way where I can help you, right, to do one of the two things that you need. All of us need to either be equipped to do something or encouraged to do something. You either don't have the tools to be successful and you need to be equipped with those tools, which I think a lot of there are channels that exist for that and they do a good job at it. But I also believe that if there are people, and you may be one of them, who are watching this, who you have the tools, right? You have everything that you need, but you need to be encouraged or inspired to do what you're meant to do. You either have the tools and you're not doing it, or you don't have the tools and you need to be equipped. But if you're watching this and you're in the pursuit of what your purpose is, and then just finding a career that aligns with that purpose, this is for you. Look for your strengths. Look to find out. Look internally. Look at what you're doing around. Try low risk things. Take assessments or work with a career coach. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help. I've been in your shoes, and I want to serve you. We have the know your strengths experience coming up. Uh, it's it's a coaching experience. We'll work together to uncover where your strengths are and take the first step to finding a career that aligns with your purpose, starting with finding your strength. That is the first step. Uh, I really appreciate you guys joining me on this episode of the Purpose Talk. Uh, and I really appreciate you watching and staying till the end. You are a real one. And just look for more videos to help equip and inspire you to be who you're meant to be and to do the work you're meant to do and live a life that you are proud of. Okay, guys? Please like, share this video, comment if there's any way that I can serve you. Uh, and just click the link in the description below to so that we can meet up uh in person via Zoom for the Know Your Strengths experience, because I know and I'm excited to be able to work with you if you feel like you want to take the first step to finding your purpose. Thank you guys so much, and you guys have a great day.